One of my goals for today was for us to be able to embody this Earth Day to some degree. And so I offer a circle of care for our biosphere. And when I say biosphere, I mean that there's this bubble, right, that in which we live. It's protected. It holds in what we need in terms of our survival and those that we share the biosphere with. So I want to start with an embodied ritual first around recognizing what we have lost in our lifetime in our biosphere. And so I'm going to invite you to come up, and if you would like to put something that you know that has been lost to your natural environment in your lifetime, or something that you know of, and you can mark it on the white strips of cloth and tie it to our tree of life, recognizing that loss. And I'm going to ask the folks from the Chalice Choir to do this first, because during our ritual they're going to sing to us. So those who from the choir who would like to participate, please come up and do so. Would you go to the next slide, please? So this is a listing of the species that we have lost because of human intervention of some kind, mostly in hunting these species or introducing predators into their natural environment. Marina would just give us the tune. So the choir is going to sing 1073, The Earth is Our Mother. If you are seated and you'd like to open your teal hymnal to that hymn, you may sing along or hum. But as they begin singing, please come up and write your loss, your sorrow, your mourning for our earth and tie it to the tree of life. The spring equinox occurred a month ago, and Easter was just a few weeks ago. The juxtaposition of Easter and the vernal equinox came about in the 3rd and 4th centuries when the Roman Empire reached its westernmost frontier, the British Isles. The Romans brought with them early Christianity, which met with the earth-centered religious practices of the indigenous Celtic peoples. At the vernal equinox, the Celts worshipped Esther, goddess of fertility, because an auspicious start to spring meant increasing herds and growing sufficient crops to survive the next winter. The Celts were hard-pressed to give up their fertility rights. Now, according to legend, St. Patrick and others intentionally incorporated traditions of the indigenous folks with Christian belief in the interest of conversion. And merging Christian festivals with pagan rituals is therefore the most likely reason for the juxtaposition of bunny rabbits, baby chicks, and decorated eggs alongside the death and resurrection of Jesus. The downside to Roman influence on an earth-centered culture was the dulling of the art of living in rhythm with seasons, with wildlife, with natural surroundings. And now, 2,000 years later in our Western culture, we face rapid degradation of our natural surroundings. Today, we mourn the loss of species, loss of habitat, deforestation, rising ocean temperatures, loss of ice caps, loss of coral reefs, sea level rise, and more, that in some ways are connected to this human population we're part of, and we tend to be exploitive and extracting. And we do have a colossal carbon footprint, at least in our western side of things, in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's interesting that even the Pope Francis and the Catholic Church has sought to recognize that perhaps the interpretation in Genesis that we have power over life on earth, that maybe it should have been interpreted more in the context of stewardship and taking care of our earth. And so the Pope did write an encyclical or issue an encyclical that put forth this new interpretation and recognized the problems in us being excessively exploitive and extractive. Now, our Unitarian Universalist values call us to take care of the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. We are called to examine the effects of our unchecked consumerism that robs the planet of resources and pumps harmful excess greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And as you saw, a number of animal species have suffered. In other words, there are natural dying out of species, or as evolution has taught us, that species evolve. But there have been species that have become extinct because of human activity. We can't always know what we do is the outcome or the unintended consequences, but there are certainly ways in which we can pay more attention to what we do and what we value. We must begin to live into the full meaning and implications of our interdependence. And as Jonathan Tweet holds up in his lovely children's book on evolution, all life on Earth is related. We are relatives of grandmother fish. We're here because of grandmother fish. We are called to honor the interdependent web of all existence, and we are called to promise that we're going to cherish our Earth, all the beings on Earth, and nurture relationships of care and respect with all the beings and all that is within this biosphere, this bubble on which we cannot live without. Now, I don't want to give a lecture on greenhouse gases. You all probably are well aware, but I do want to point out one thing, that scientists can take core samples at the poles, and they can tell the various levels of carbon dioxide over hundreds of thousands of years. And in 800,000 years, the levels have stayed between 180 and 280 parts per million. But as of December 2020, the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere had risen to 415 parts per million. Unfortunately, the multiplying effect of the last 70 years is frightening, because the excess carbon dioxide will take up to 1,000 years to dissipate. And of course, much of the excess of greenhouse gases are generated by transportation, electricity, and industry, driven in large part by our consumptive habits. So in terms of the effects of greenhouse gases, which has been argued as heating up the Earth, there is an effect on oceans. The Earth's oceans absorb 93% of excess heat we are generating with greenhouse gases. Now, if you want to have a small little sample of what that is, breathe into your palm of your hand, like you're checking your breath. You feel the moisture? You feel the heat? Right. So that causes oceans to heat up. That causes some of the biggest storms we have on record in terms of hurricanes, and it also causes the ice caps to melt. So with 1,300 miles of coastal miles in Florida, this is something that we should be concerned with. We can't, as individuals or even as a congregation together, we can't solve this problem globally. We can pay attention to the policies that our country has around internationally and in cooperation with other countries. But we can pay attention to what we do locally that sometimes has a multiplying effect or increases the effect of the increased temperature of the oceans. So I learned a lot when I was working and living in my home county of Volusia. And One factor for Florida is not only do we have a lot of coastline, but Florida's hydrology is very delicate. It's a delicate balance. There's an aquifer that feeds the springs that feed our water source. St. Johns River is one, Lake Okeechobee is another. And when we put human infrastructure on watershed areas, we reduce the percolation that goes down and gets purified, surface water that gets naturally purified and replenishes that natural aquifer. And the more we cover up percolation, the more we put into jeopardy the aquifer, but also we get surface runoff. And what runs off into our canals are pesticides and fertilizers that upset coastal waters and estuaries, rivers, the Everglades. And of course, I don't know if you all had this problem here, but one thing that Florida soil doesn't need more of is phosphorus. But if you go and try to buy a bag of fertilizer, you can't buy it without phosphorus in it. So it runs off and it creates algae blooms. And those algae blooms create a darkness that kills the river grass, that kills manatees. So what we do has a consequence. I don't know, I can't tell you what to do. I've been tempted to zero-scape my yard, but my homeowners won't let me do that, right? So I've made a choice, but I can zero-scape my backyard, and I can fertilize my own lawn with chemicals or fertilizer of my own choosing. Also, covering up the watershed areas in Florida causes flooding. We have a chronic problem in Daytona Beach. I think you do here in Fort Lauderdale too, right? And so whenever there's a heavy rain, people's houses get flooded, and they don't remediate the mold that comes from that because they don't want to make a claim on their insurance, because they don't want their rates to go up. All of these phenomena are interrelated, and they start with the excess greenhouse gases. It's complex. Nobody has a simple, straightforward answer. But if you endeavor to understand the complexity and the effects that what we do has on the environment, there is probably something that we could all do to change that course. So I say it's time to get serious about bunny rabbits and baby chicks and decorated eggs, and about all the fauna and flora that we share this biosphere with. This is a good time to make a connection with your natural surroundings and the importance of respecting our interdependent web of life. As Unitarian Universalists, we're called to be humble and reverent in acknowledging that we're part of the web, not over it, not exempted from our actions having an effect on other living things. And I think this is what the ecologist, if you go to the next slide, the ecologist means when he says, in the end, we will conserve only what we love, we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. So it's vitally important that we understand and that we develop a love and respect of our natural surroundings. So I'm going to give you the last word and ask you to consider, what do you love about this jewel of a planet on which your life depends? What are your hopes for repair and having a better relationship with the earth? And what are you willing to commit to in caring for our earth? And so once again, this is an embodied ritual. And up here in the basket are little wristbands. And I'm going to ask you to write on that wristband either what you love, what you're willing to be committed to, and what your hopes are for Earth Day 2025. And hopefully, next Earth Day, you will unearth this tree again and take a look and see how we did, all right? While we're doing this, again, I'm going to ask the choir folks to come up and do theirs first, because they're going to sing a wonderful song for you that I hope will leave us on a hopeful note here.